Whew, but that Tai Tuivasa knockout of Greg Hardy, man, that dude was fully cognizant to, like, my man got slumped.
Yeah, man, those heavyweights be throwing. They be throwing.
And he's kind of like, dude, man. He's kind of like a heel, Greg Hardy. Remember that? Remember when we figured out why we remembered Greg Hardy? Because Greg Hardy got kicked from the NFL for beating his wife. Real sad stuff. Anyway, yeah,
that kind of just, I mean,
yeah, like that mood change.
It's kind of it's just all right. Makes you kind of look at the UFC a little weird, just a tiny bit. But all right.
Again, John Jones not ejected from the UFC.
Right.
John Jones not ejected from the UFC. Clear evidence that John Jones put hands on his wife. Clear.
It's just weird. Like, that's just like in a just a morality sense, it's just super weird. Like for Greg Hardy, like
same difference.
He's a
same
name,
difference.
but dude,
same difference. Same difference.
The hell?
Same difference. It's literally not different at all. The UFC accepts men that have a history of hurting their spouses.
And I guess their thing is that they're gauging it because if it's really severe, now we gotta really cut him because it's not, because they cut that dude who severely beat his wife or that girl. In that incident.
Yes.
So
why should it not be a discretionary base? Man, it's a human sport. Man, it's humanity. You know what I'm saying? And you look at it and you go,
Cause
every case is different. You know, you got the John Jones wife still smiling and kicking. How would that look? Now she's talking about the UFC and what y'all are doing to her husband after y'all went and let me not say white-knighted, but went and tried to protect her, kicking her husband out. How would that, how would the UFC look?
I mean, in my personal opinion, I think that would be the best choice. But in the business standpoint, no, because he's a high ticket.
But away from the business. But in my point,
away from the business. I just don't. I think you cut John Jones. Like, especially if there's evidence that he did it. Like, dude, what? Like you're just accepting this behavior.
But this is a man that literally trains to fight people, to literally bash people's heads in, to manhandle them. This is a person who has been manhandled like this constantly throughout their life because of that training. What I'm saying is again, not a reason, not a justification, but that's the reason. If we're just gonna say it, the reason why these people are so violent is because they're training in violent sports. Doesn't affect everyone like this.
Yeah, and then that's the rub. I feel like there's just too much of a higher percentage of people that don't. Well, I don't know the numbers. I don't know any of it. But like I would feel in my feelings, and what I would think is that there's a higher percentage of fighters that don't, harm their spouses or whatnot, or vice versa. Like, saying the women don't just beat their men. Like, I don't think this is happening.
No. Don't add that in because that has nothing to do with this conversation. Spouses of UFC fighters being beaten by their spouses has nothing. It's not. Everything is not equal. Like, that's a completely different situation. That would be more so talking about the psyche of this fighter, like talking about this individual fighter because I just feel like that's so different. You cannot just insert, vice versa. It's a small thing, and I'm just nitpicking on your point, but I'm just like, it just goes to that, not everything is equal. Not everything is 1-to-1. If a UFC fighter was getting beaten by his wife, let's actually say this: if a UFC fighter was being beaten by her husband.
No, what I mean vice versa is what
that
I
is
mean
that
is
like
a woman UFC fighter is what I meant by vice versa.
Okay, yeah, like listen to what I said. So if a UFC fighter was being beaten by her husband, let's take in case in point that one female fighter who was getting berated by her husband / manager, and it got a little viral, and Misha Tate had commented on it, and basically to kind of demean this guy and say, you went too far, you were not bigging up the fighter, you were just trashing her and just telling her how you should be praising her. The point I'm trying to make is the case of a husband hitting his UFC fighter wife is like, I mean, we look at her like, you can defend yourself. Number one. And you can defend yourself. Number one. Now, if that husband is a fighter as well, then we look at that as more so a case of, okay, then it's on an even playing field. I'm just saying, like, that's a different situation than UFC fighter who's trained going after their spouse who was completely untrained, completely just like out. They're a mom, they're a husband, they're like just a regular like that is
no, well that's what I meant.
Not even a
like,
husband, not even a husband, because like a lot of
I just really meant is that like it could be a woman UFC fighter fighting just a regular, like it could be just a regular citizen, like a regular person, and then like if that happened, would it just be like, oh, he just, I don't know, like, okay, I don't know, I don't want to bring examples because I don't want to like tarnish these people's names and make them seem like they do this, but like let's say Amanda Nunes just beat her like spouse, it would just be like, okay, how severe is it?
And we would ask if the spouse also trains.
She does.
Because if the spouse also trains, then we can, I mean, number one, we can assume that at least she defended herself. And then two, we can, and this may be reaching. This may be, but let me say, this may be reaching. But you could also assume that maybe this was a more so even altercation. Like they were, maybe they just both needed to cool off, and they didn't, and they just kept escalating. And there's mutual combat. That's a thing. Like if we're talking about a situation with two fighters, the idea of mutual combat has to be introduced. Like that has to
okay, be yeah, okay.
But that is nowhere. That is nowhere for John Jones on his wife, mother of home, a mother of three.
Right, that shouldn't excuse him just to do
There's no mutual combat.
Right.
It's just you beating on her. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the, don't insert the vice versa, because for the male UFC fighter against his spouse, who likely is not his trainer, that's typically the situation. So it's not like that's the
okay, okay. So what if John Jones's wife is a UFC fighter?
There's look, he should still not be hitting her, but I could then insert and say, hey, is there any? There could have been mutual combat here. Yes. Because if you also train, if you've also been training, if you also do this, which I don't think she does. I don't know, but seems as though she's a mother of their 3 children. Like that's what she does. Like, and she doesn't seem like she does not look like a, but then again, you got Laura Sanko, who's fucking fire. Anyway. Let me search it. It takes one Google. Because this is an interesting conversation here. John Jones' wife practice. Does she? Okay, Jessie Moses. That's her name. Okay. John Jones' white wife. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, let's get this on the big screen. Look at that. Yeah, man. Beautiful. All right. So yeah, he was arrested. Dude, I don't know. Jessie Moses. For a long time, they're engaged. There's no proof of their marriage. Oh, jeez. Okay, let's not get into that. Jessie Moses. Does she train? Does she train?
Man, I don't think it really. Well,
I'm just saying. you could enter in the idea of mutual combat. It doesn't make things even, but you would understand a situation where maybe both parties were just aggravating each other, as opposed to, and I don't think she trains, bro. Like I just they met in high school. Yeah, they have like a deep connection that goes back to their parents, and John, I guess, apparently met, yeah, her mom. Like, you know,
But
early.
I don't know, like just that idea of just like, okay, she trains, like, okay, if she did train, and John Jones, like, and she was like at a high, even if she was like, let's say she trained and she was at a high level of training, and John Jones just kind of, yeah, beat her.
No, he didn't, because she also let some licks off too. Like, realistically, if she was actually trained like that and felt completely threatened like that, then she, or okay, then fine. Let's say she, in a case where she doesn't. Let's say in a case where she doesn't, right? You can still say that there's this battery case.
Definitely.
If she still poses it. If she still
herself,
goes
okay.
but I'm just saying the likelihood of a UFC trained fighter wife or event, just UFC trained fighter just taking shots from anybody. Like that is very just, that's negligible, I think. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that stuff ever leaves you, particularly if you just keep training. Like how you said in this situation, if it was a wife that trained, the mutual combat could be there. Like you could say, I mean, again, it depends on how the situation would unfold and how the wife would tell the story and say her side. But, and let's go back to the actual reality. What really happened did not seem like a case of mutual combat. It seemed like a case of a frightened, yet at the same time still securing wife who was scared of her husband, yet wanting to secure the life that they had and not throw it all into jeopardy. Their life. And again, and that's key because, man, that's key because, goddamn, John Jones, man, for all the bullshit you put that lady through, and she still has that wherewithal of mind to go do that and all this other stuff. I don't know what their relationship is like, but being married,
but just
it's
off
a plus,
of that
it's
point,
a leg up.
I just look at John Jones differently though.
Yes,
like just like as a person, like because as a fighter he's phenomenal, but as a person, I just,
do you not want to see him fight?
Yeah, I don't want to see John Jones fight. Like it's just weird. Like it's just like, okay, like it's just weird. Like in my opinion, I just don't want to see him fight. I don't even think he should be in the UFC. Like if it's just like straight evidence that he beat his wife, then it's just like, dude, what? Like I don't know. They took down Ray Lewis in the NFL, and I just think, not Ray Lewis, my bad. Ray Rice, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that's just something that they should just draw a line at. Yeah, and then they just bring in Greg Hardy, which is like another disputable case. Like it's so weird. Like,
and I'm not even sure about all the details of that case or how severe it got, but I remember that it made national headlines, and I remember
he got kicked out the NFL.
He got kicked out of the NFL.
Like what
and so
like I don't know what else that I mean. I don't know. I guess second chances.
But my thing is like, I still go back to you got to go look at every case individually. And I don't know, and I bring up I don't know the details of the Greg Hardy case to say. In the John Jones case, still have a wife that supports the man, will be there for him, is still by his side. Hey
man, the same thing with Ray Rice. I mean, I don't know.
Ray Rice is not in the UFC, but I'm just saying.
But he's not in the NFL.
He's not, and I think the NFL. Okay, cool. We've. The NFL is cookie cutter, man. The NFL is you got America's national football team. You got brands and associations with this that are tied for 100 years, for going back 100 years. The point of the matter is I'm saying like. It's mainstream. It's as far as sports go, it's pop music. But then you have the UFC, which is like metal. Not everybody listens to it, and it is rough, and the shit they talk about is not safe for what you would put on for your kids or for your no. You wouldn't put that on for your kids. You wouldn't put that on these themes at least. You would maybe do metal music, but the themes that are in heavy metal and dark metal and all those kinds of, you wouldn't give that to your kid, right? No. So like dark metal, this is for a more, how would you say, extreme crowd. And I think discretion in that to say, yes, you've made mistakes, but we will allow you. This is a very fucking violent sport where you'll also get fucked up if you don't train. Not for another, if you train your hardest, and maybe there's just another guy that's out. Maybe he heard about all this stuff. He can bring that grievance to you. You don't think Taito Ivasa heard anything about this? Women shit. That doesn't play anything into. Hey man, I'm gonna knock your ass out. The fuck? That adds to it. This is gladiator sports. This is blood sport. This is not about feelings and all these other no. I mean, it is about feelings, but that goes into making the fight. Are you a heel or are you a hero? That's all it is. That's all it is. And yes, it's real life, but
you said all that, but basically the point is it just depends on the severity. I mean,
it should, as it should. As it should.
All right.
I gotta stop doing that. I repeat myself a lot. I gotta stop doing that. I just did it again. I don't like when I just say things 3 times. I don't like when I listen back to it. I don't like that. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, man.